Hi everyone. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the Kobe and Kuko podcast. How's everyone
Hola.
doing? It is good to be back and it's good to see you once again. Here
Hola.
again with the consistency. Doing very well, I must say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean a lot of
I rate
people
us for that.
a lot of people have been saying, oh, they just want to see us again and so on and so forth. But we've had some really, really good feedback on the videos.
Yeah.
And we do appreciate like a lot all the feedback
We
that
say
everyone's
this all the
given to
time
us.
because it's actually true.
Yeah, we
really,
appreciate
really
it
do
so
appreciate
much.
it. So
All the people that have
thanks.
been commenting and saying everything and sharing and liking, and all the messages that we get on Instagram and all of those things.
Yeah.
We appreciate them all. We're not the
Thank
kind of people to feel like we're too big for our boots and we've arrived and we're great and so on and so forth. But we're just grateful, and we know that if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing all of this anyway.
And besides that, we actually love doing this. Like,
I
we
enjoy
actually we like talking.
It's a lot of
We're
work.
a very talkative couple.
It's a lot of work to set up and do everything that we need to do, but at the same time, it's rewarding at the end.
Yeah.
So
We've got a little. So we decided just to like put in a little bit of fun before our podcast, before our serious talker.
yeah.
So,
when are we ever really that serious?
Well, it's never really serious, but before we get into like the conversation, I've got a little icebreaker here. So I'm gonna ask my husband some questions. It's just a this or that. You've got 1 second to answer. Don't think.
1 second.
Yeah, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Cause I feel like
I'm scared.
They're not even like bad. They're just like basic questions,
Alright,
really.
cool.
I'll ask you maybe 5.
All right.
Okay. So it's just this or that.
Give me 5 seconds, not 1 second.
No, 5 seconds is too much.
Right.
Laptop or desktop?
Laptop.
Okay, cool. Tacos or burritos?
Only the same thing. Burritos have the rice. Yeah, burritos.
Yeah. Cash or card?
Cash. Oh no, card
Hey!
all day. No. Card.
When was the last time you even saw cash?
Yeah, no, card all day. I
Yeah,
even have like the Apple Pay and everything like that. It's yeah. I don't
It's a
remember
lot.
the last time I carried cash like
Actually, cake or ice cream?
that. Ice cream.
Interesting.
What about you?
You know what is interesting? I'm the opposite of everything you've chosen.
Seriously?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Go
The
for it.
opposite of everything. Shopping spree or road trip?
Oh, come on. That's gonna be opposite again.
That's what I'm saying. I'm totally the opposite.
Wait,
Facebook or Instagram? Maybe this one will be the same.
come on, man. Who's on Facebook?
Who
anymore?
uses Facebook? Actually, let me not bash Facebook because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Okay, let me do one more. Hire a chef or house cleaner. Hire a chef or hire a house cleaner.
Chef.
Yeah. Because we are
100% chef.
generally clean
Yeah,
people.
we don't mess up the house. We're
we're generally
paying
clean.
someone for no reason.
Not like we don't cook, but yeah.
Like cooking is something that's normal, but
You know why I will hire the chef?
I think okay. So okay, you go first.
I'll hire a chef because of the variety that we'll get. The time is a factor, but it's not a big thing for me. I think my biggest challenges with cooking is it gets boring.
Yeah.
It gets boring, especially in an African household. What can you eat? Rice, yam, spaghetti, pasta.
I guess so.
Banku.
I think
it gets repetitive.
my reason is that I kind of enjoy the cleaning. I have the headphones in.
It's like therapeutic.
Yeah, you have the headphones in and you just go around and you clean.
Yeah.
And it feels like nice to make progress when you're moving up the house and moving on and you can see like the house is getting cleaner.
Yeah.
But when you're cooking, it's like staying in one place.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit more tedious. It feels a little bit more.
Yeah.
If I can get someone to do that whilst I clean,
But 100%, I feel like at some point in time in our life, we're gonna have to have a chef.
Yeah, I guess so.
I feel like at some point, I would love that just because of the variety that would bring.
Maybe twice a week or something, just to try something new.
You know what? Technically, we have a chef. It's just.
Oh right, no. No, we cook it. We have someone instructing us on how to cook it.
We have someone instructing us on how to cook. So yeah,
So
if they sponsor us, we'll shout out.
Yeah, basically we have this thing that they send us like ingredients, they send us the instructions, and then
if they sponsor us, we'll shout them out.
Well,
anyway.
yeah, that's us, man. We just love trying something new, and it's just
okay.
It saves us some time as well.
It does.
You never know,
Yeah,
like
it does.
that time we saved going out
does.
and buying stuff. We used it on this podcast instead.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm actually excited about today's topic. It's one of my favorite.
Oh yes, it is.
It is one of my favorite things to talk about, and it's money.
Yeah.
Actually, I've never really thought about why I like. Okay, no, I think I know why. I really like to talk about money because I think coming from an African background, Africa, I can say, is actually one of the continents that struggles with poverty. And when I say poverty, I don't mean money. In terms of like the mindset.
Oh, all right, yeah, I get you.
So being African, being raised from an African background, I'm so big on overcoming that
mindset and
spirit
that
of poverty.
Yeah, it irritates me so much. And you know what? Yeah, funny enough, you also get in the UK as well.
You know what? The poverty in the UK is quite disguised. It's disguised into comfortable living.
It's so weird because, like,
yeah.
I remember going to the shop one time and then someone was like, I think someone gave a £20 note in the shopping center, and they were like, oh yeah, here's a £20 note, like, and then they made a joke. The cashier made a joke and it's like, oh, £20, you're well off. As in, like, you got, and for me, I was like, what's £20? Like,
yeah,
like, it's like he said, oh yeah, like as a light-hearted joke.
Yeah.
But for me, things like that aren't funny.
For me, I had a big cultural shock because I had lived in Ghana for like a good, like, I'll say all my life basically.
Yeah.
And I moved here about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. Welcome.
And so I moved to the UK and I had the biggest cultural shock of my life.
What was it?
I just felt like a lot of people here were poor.
What? Really?
And the reason why I say that,
I thought it would have been the opposite.
No. What was my first comment when I came here?
No, okay, no. Visually, it's not the most.
It wasn't even just.
It's not like
visually.
it looks on TV.
Yes, number one, and number two, it was because of how I'd been raised in Ghana. Right? If I pay for something, it's because I have the cash for it.
Yeah.
So, life in Ghana does not allow you to live a lifestyle you can't afford.
Yeah.
You look like what you can afford.
Yeah.
That it is what it is. You really look like what you can afford. If I want a phone, I buy it and I pay it off. If you're in a house, it's because you built the house with your money, from foundation to roofing to internal finishes, and you're living in there.
Yeah.
If you have your car, it's because you paid it off, right?
Yeah.
So I came to the UK and I had a shock of my life. I was thinking, because the UK, and it's something we'll get into when we get a bit deeper into the podcast, but it thrives a lot on the credit system, right? And there's the merits that comes with that system, which I didn't understand when I first moved here. So I was so comfortable living off cash, paying things off, and coming here to see the credit system, it was such a big shock to me. Yeah, like, to see people buy phones on credit was a shock to me. To see people buy cars was a shock to me. To see people basically everything.
TVs.
You buy a TV on credit. You buy a fridge you buy your house on credit.
So far.
Do you know what I mean? And it was such a big shock to me just because of my upbringing. Because being in a Ghanaian background, I had been raised to pay things off. So I recall first moving into the UK, and maybe about a year into our marriage. No, it wasn't a year. Was it a year? No, it wasn't a year. Let me tell you when it was. It was a few months, because we went to Greece in October. I came in July and we went in October. So a few months. Why are you looking at me like that?
No, because I'm doing it again.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then I remember we booked the holiday.
Okay.
And then
we didn't have to pay it all at once.
No. So not even that. So yeah, that was even a different thing. But I remember we missed the flight.
All right.
Remember?
Yeah.
So we missed the flight for our holiday. We got to the airport and I was like, wait, how did we miss our flight? Because I wasn't used to like traveling a lot. So I thought, like, yeah, we're going to the airport, we're going to catch a flight. Like, I wasn't thinking about, boarding gates closing, checking and stuff like that. And when we missed the flight, I looked at your face and I was like, what are we going to do? And then you said to me, oh, you have some emergency money somewhere else. So we had to rebuy new tickets for the next day, which of course would be a lot more expensive than when we had, started planning.
I remember that day.
You remember that day? And in my mind, I started thinking, thank God for the emergency money that you had, because it would have really ruined not just my view of you, because I had just been in the UK for like 2 months, but it also would have ruined what was like our very first travel together, which we still have like a lot of memories about now. And just you having that like secret money somewhere gave me a bit of security, where I felt like, okay, I can trust this guy, like he's got my back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was after we came from that, then I realized we actually started having conversations about our money. Because this was something that you had used for an emergency, which was not planned for.
Yeah.
And was quite a lot of money, because we're buying the next day ticket.
Yeah.
And when we now needed money to do something, the money had been used.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
Pardon? That the money had...
No, like when we started first having conversations about our money.
It was a bit uncomfortable.
I could tell.
It was a bit uncomfortable at first, because it wasn't something that I grew up... me growing up, my dad was the sole provider of the whole house.
Yeah, and still to this day is
up to today. He's got that kind of a mindset.
Yeah.
My dad was the one that looked after everyone. My mom, the kids, sent everyone to uni. Paid for most of the things out of uni, and he paid the bills. He did everything.
Yeah.
Up to now, he still asks, "Do you need money?
Do you want some money?
Are you all right?" And I think he's quite happy with where we are at the moment, that he's been able to use his money to do loads of other stuff, loads of projects he's been talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
So my mum never used to ask about money. We never used to ask about the money.
Money was never a conversation.
It was never a conversation in my house. It was always, we knew the source of the money. We knew, or we assumed that he's got it.
Yeah.
My dad never said, "I don't have money." He never uttered the words, "I don't have money." If he didn't have the money, he probably said no. He's more likely to say, "No, you can't have that."
You can't have that. No explanation.
So I never knew in my house until I was a lot older that I understood that maybe when we were younger we didn't have as much as we do now, and the reasons why my dad would sometimes say no. But in my mind, and that's the same thing with our kids today.
They don't know.
They feel like we have infinite amount of money. Do you know what I mean?
Can I tell them this funny story before we continue? So we went to the shops, right? It was my daughter, the oldest one's friend's birthday.
Yeah.
So we had gone to the shops, right, to buy some stuff. And then she was like, "Oh, can we buy a birthday present for her friend?" And I was like, "Of course." So I was like, "You choose." So we went there, right? And we're on this aisle, and this girl is choosing, right? So she's choosing stuff. She doesn't just choose one gift. She chooses one. Then she picks the second one. But what happened with the second gift that she chose was it didn't have the price tag
on it,
on the shelf.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to take these two, and we're going to go to the till, and then I would check the price, and then I'll see if it's, I wouldn't even say like worth buying, but I'll just see if, okay, we should get that gift, right?
You kind of just had a figure in your mind of what you want to spend.
I have a figure to work with. So we went to the till, and then I checked for the price of that one, and then I asked her, which one do you want? Because at this point, like, they're both like, it's not even the affordability, but it was okay to buy it.
Yeah.
So I asked her, which one are we buying? Then she said, "Are we not buying both?" And I was like, "No, Maya, we're buying just one." This girl looked up. So mind you, I'm here. She's there. She raises her head up to me and looks at me and was like, So you're not even rich. The shock on my face at this time, she's 4 years old, and she's asking me, "You're not rich because I'm not buying these 2 toys that she wanted." But that was such an eye opener for me, because although I had to come correct to her and tell her, "Listen, your mom and dad are very blessed, okay?" Let me just set that record straight. Like, we are very blessed. We, by God's grace, okay? But I also wanted her to understand the principle of money. The fact that mom and dad have money does not mean
you spend on everything,
that we just buy anything at any time.
Yeah.
Right? So that was like a little lesson, but it was kind of cute to think that, okay,
Yeah,
she's always had the mindset,
so
my mom's is rich.
You know
Do
what?
I mean?
It's the same thing that we have, the same mindset we have with our Heavenly Father. Where it's like, we just feel like everything. And it's not even because that we assume the way little kids do to their parents. Is because He has told us that, anything you need,
just ask
just
me.
Ask me
according to my will.
So it must be incredible. But anyway, that's the household I grew up in. My dad was everything for everyone. Even when I was working, he would ask, "Do you need anything else? Is everything okay?" So for me, I thought coming into marriage, you would have that same kind of mindset where it's like, we don't talk about money. I know that you got it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom and dad never talked about the mortgage. My mom and dad never talked about the car. My mom and dad never talked about phone bills. You know, my mom had her own money, and my dad's money was for the whole house and for himself.
And your mom's money was for herself.
Her. Yeah. And my money was for me. And like, I never had to, my dad never asked me for money or anything like that. Never. You know, I know some parents are like, as soon as you start working, you're going to help with the rent. Right. My dad was never like that. My dad never charged us for anything. He would even pay us. You know, and that's the mindset, and that's the thing that he had. And that's the reason why we were even staying with him for so long, because he was like, don't go out and rent, just stay and buy a house. So we stayed at home for a while, and he was like adamant and saying that, look, this is how you do it. So we never had a conversation for you to sit me down and say, let's talk about the money, made me feel a little bit less like my
a bit insecure,
because with my dad we never had to have that conversation. But for you to have that conversation with me was like, don't you have that confidence in me the way I had in my dad? You know, so it was a bit uncomfortable at first.
And the reason why I asked that question, which it goes back to our upbringing, right, is for me growing up, my dad in the same way had always been the provider, right? He had taken care of us from right from primary school all the way up to university, and giving me money whenever I needed money. When I started working, right, I started paying for my stuff. So when I started working, all of a sudden, it was like, this man was like giving me the money that he used to give me. He was not like being this cute dad. Like, there were times like he would even send me a text message, and then he'd be like, oh yeah, here's what we do. He's like, a little money for you, because what we do is share. Like, he would do these cute little things. Yeah. Like, he was really cute with his money with me. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a little something and I want to share with you. But when I started working, right,
he stopped.
I was on my own, and I didn't understand at the time. But now in hindsight, I do understand why he did that, because maybe it was out of a place of like teaching me to be responsible with my money. So because I was so used to managing my money, coming into marriage, I felt like, okay, if we're going to do this together, then we needed to be open and transparent about our money, because I was now used to taking care of myself with my money. And I knew, because we were going to be together for the long haul, there was no way we were going to do this separate. This is your money and this is my money. And the reason, even the more so why I asked you that, was because when I first came to the UK, I wasn't working. So if you were going to be providing for me, and at the time you weren't working as well.
Was I?
So like, you were working, but not like in active, like full-time 9 to 5. And
it was like a contract work in and out.
And I wanted to, it wasn't even like I was being inquisitive about your money, but I had this whole idea of money management in a way that I wanted to feel like we were doing this together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I really wanted to feel like we were doing this together because I knew that the moment I started working, your money is my money and my money is your money.
Yeah.
And I know the damage that people go through when money is off the table when it comes to marriage.
Yeah.
Because people are very secretive about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's important
Yeah.
to discuss it, but I mean, it's different for everyone. Let's just put it out there.
It's
works
different for everyone, right?
Some
So
women are
in our-
happy.
Yeah.
Some
no,
women-
yeah.
Some women
Fair
are happy
point.
to say, yeah,
But
I don't have to think about anything.
But and that's why I'm so grateful to God for our journey, because people will look at us now and like I said in our previous podcast, we look like we have the perfect life and it looked like we always had like things going for us. But we can really appreciate where we're coming from because it hadn't always been like
It's not
this.
been easy.
It hadn't always been like this. Like, we've been in the trenches together. We've had our low moments together. So right now we're not even faced with money. We're not even faced with we're not faced at all because we know what it's like to not have it.
Yeah.
We know what it's like to not always have that kind of luxury when you feel like it would be nice to have this kind of luxury. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing is that God has given us many, many signs, loads and loads of signs to say that, yo, I've got you. Like in times where, you know, we were doing a career change and you were figuring out what you wanted to do now because you were moving away from architecture into project management and you were studying and, you know, and I was also going into IT
Pivoting
and
your
also
career,
moving and all through it, like God had us.
Always
and at that point, it was mad because at that point was when COVID happened as well. So we didn't have to spend too much. We didn't have to go out as much. And at that time, the government had a scheme that was also paying whilst we were able to use some of that money to pay for our education in order to have that career change. You know, like little things like that. Even the money for the wedding. You know, I got a job just before the wedding that I wasn't really I wasn't really enjoying. Like, it wasn't, but it had come at a certain time where I needed, you know, and I was able to pay for the thing, and then that contract ended, and I went for another one, and it's just that proof that God has got us, God is with us.
God has always been our source.
So having that mindset of, okay, cool, like we're okay, has helped us settle down and not fight about money all the time and not argue about money all the time.
So which takes us back to the conversation, which is when we first had that conversation of how we were going to manage our money together, because this time we were sitting down to say, you know, and at this point it required that you had to be very open to me about your money, which is like how much you earn.
I feel a little bit private.
For you, that's what I'm saying. And I know maybe up to this point, like, I wouldn't be surprised if there are couples that don't even know how much their spouses earn.
But you know what? It kind of still translates a bit now, because even though like we have like the joint account where the money comes in.
Okay, so just to set the record straight, so we have quite a few accounts. So like,
let's
but
do the
generally,
basics.
so the basics will be, we have a joint account, and then that's
for all our bills.
So we have a joint account where all our incomes go in,
all the bills come out,
and then all the bills come out from, and then we have our savings account
where we take out a specific
put
amount,
some money
in
there for savings,
and then
we've got our personal account, and then we've actually got a spending account. Remember, so we have
individual.
No, the joint spending.
I
thought
you were gonna, because I said keep it simple, but we have a spending account
we
for
have
the
a
house.
spending account where we, you know, but I think before we could get to this point where we like section out our money, we had to be very open and transparent with each other.
Yeah,
and I think if you can be open with your partner about your money, I'm not sure what else you can't be open about. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Up to now, like with your account, I never ask. Up to now, I've never. And it goes back again to like my dad was like, your money is your money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've never asked, oh, how much money do you have, or how much money is in your account.
I've got my secret stash.
Yeah, like her money, I don't worry about.
Yeah.
With my money, I know that okay, cool. Like, and it's still up till now, like working, and when I work and the money comes in, and I'm happy to pay for everything. I'm happy to look after everything.
Yeah.
I don't ask you unless it's 100% necessary that we need to. And sometimes it's even you that comes and says that, oh, I've got some money on the side.
Exactly.
Let's use that.
And I actually really want to encourage women with this, because as much as like we know the man to be the provider, and you know he's the one that like takes care of, well, in a traditional home setting, which is what we go by.
Yeah.
As you being the provider for like all the basic needs in the house and taking care of everything in the house. Though we have that, you know, like bringing our joint incomes in, I found it very necessary when I've been able to support with something, right, from my personal account, where it's like, I'm like, okay, babe, I'll take care of this, right? And I think it even in that sense, it makes you, I wouldn't even say like it makes you value me, but I never want to be in a position where it's like I can't support financially.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Besides like, okay, our income's like, I never want to be in a position where it's like I bring nothing to the table. Like I'm just here to enjoy soft life. You know, you take care of me. You do everything for me. Like I want to be in a position where even though you are the sole provider for the home, I can support where it's necessary. And I think it's necessary, if you are in a position to do that as a woman, to help out, not to leave all of that burden. I don't even want to say it's a burden like you're arguing about it or it's stress to you, but not to leave all of that responsibility just to your husband.
And also do it in a way that will make him feel like you have his back more than making him feel like he's not enough. You know, sometimes people do it, and women do it in a way. It's like, since you can't do it, I have to help out. You know, like just be like, yo, you know what, I got this one. Let me do this one.
Let me take care of
help
this.
out. And that's what my mom did. My mom took responsibility and said that, you know what, everything for the food, that's paying for everything, but let me use my money to pay for the food. So all the food, all the ingredients, everything, my mom always used her money for that. And that was like my dad's way, like my mom's way of saying, I've got you. Like, I appreciate what you're doing, and I know you're doing a lot. Let me add my little part to it. And I think it's amazing when a woman is able to do that in a very humble
and a supportive
way. A supportive way, saying more than trying to take his place. And this is one of the things, even if you're making more money than him, there's a way of you not making him
rubbing
feel
it in his face like
as if he's inferior, because already it would kind of hurt. Like it can have a little dig on his ego, like oh, like I should be the provider. If you're a traditional man like me, or like it can bruise you a little bit and say that, oh, like maybe I should. But if you do it in a way that's like humble and saying that, look, you are enough, you've done enough, you work hard, but if there's anything that you need, let me play my part, let me support.
And I think that's always been my mindset, is always to do it in a way that my money is supportive and not taking over your responsibility. And I think, I know people have different notions about this, but the reason why I would encourage transparency in your finances, you know, the Bible talks about money being, the love of money being the root of all evil. And, you know, the Bible also says that where your treasure is, there your heart lies also. Right? And it's very interesting to see that dynamic play in marriages. Because if you can open up your money to each other, it's almost like you've got my heart and you've got everything. Do you know what I mean? So when we're able to like see into each other's like financial state, or like, and I'm not talking about like private money or whatever, but like just being open. It's not like we're checking in like, oh, how much have you got in there? Because you don't care for my personal money, and I don't ask you about your personal money. But where we're in a position where we can be open and transparent about our money, it gives us that level of trust and confidence in each other, because I know that you've got my back, and I know that you're willing to take care of my financial needs.
I you know what, there's been times where like I've the amount of money that I wanted to spend for the month for my personal money.
Yeah.
I give myself like a monthly budget and said, okay, this is how much I want to be able to spend. So this month I'm not going to spend more than this on just entertainment or whatever it is, or buying stuff for myself and food and stuff like that. I don't want to spend more than this. And then you'd be like, oh, can you get this for me, please, whilst you're away, or whilst you're going, can you buy this on your way back? And I hate asking, are you going to send me the money for it? Do you know what I mean? And there's been times where it's like, oh, I've gone over what I wanted to spend, but I still need to get my wife what she wants. So I'd go over budget for it. I'd spend a little bit more for it. I would go into the my personal extra money.
And
or
these
whatever,
are conversations that we actually did have.
Yeah.
So we actually did sit down and talk about it and be like, okay, babe, I think, because what we do is like let me not say we do, because ideally the plan was to be doing monthly reviews, but I think by God's grace we've gotten to a place where we're a bit comfortable.
At least 2-3 times a year we do it. We
do like a review of our money to see where our money is going and stuff like that. And I like the fact that I can ask you for stuff, but also the different dynamic is I like also the fact that you can come openly tell me that we're spending a bit too much. Yeah. All right. So there've been moments where we're like, babe, we're actually spending quite a lot of money on this, and we can have the conversation. And it's not because you don't want to provide or you don't want to buy the stuff that I'm asking for, but it's like a mental check. Like, we need to,
I hate doing it.
I know you hate doing it, and I don't even want to say I love doing it, because I think between us, who would you say is a spender? You know what? It's weird because I feel like I'm the spender and the saver at the same time.
You're more meticulous about money. Let's put it that way.
Okay, let me I think that's the best way to describe it.
I can spend when I feel like I deserve it. I don't mind spending, but I rarely do it.
You rarely spend money.
Do you know what I mean? But when I spend money, I spend money.
Okay, so you don't spend money often, but when you spend, it's a big amount going out.
Exactly. When I spend on something,
but I spend a lot more often, but I just spend like bits, so it's like smaller amounts.
So you're
going
more
out
of like, let's say, for example, she'll spend £50 a week on this and that and that. This is not real thing. I'm making it up. So £50 a week on this, that. I'll spend like £5 a week, and then at the end of the week, I'll buy something for like £200.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't spend as much money.
Yeah. So you're a big spender, but you don't spend off it.
Yeah.
But it's just going back to the fact that I like that we can check each other, like we can be a check for each other when we're not spending our money right. And it's really important, like I think in marriages, because it's also like, like the same way that God expects us to multiply our gifts and our talents and stuff like that, he also wants us to be good stewards of our money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because God wants us to be good stewards of our money, we can't be in a position where we don't steward our money well.
Yeah.
Because we know that the money that comes into our hands comes with purpose.
Yeah.
Right. And whenever God gives to us, like gives us money or provides for us financially, we know that there's a purpose behind it. Yeah, there's a reason behind it. And it's not always even about our family. Like I think we actually spend more when it comes to it's related to our purpose more than we even spend internally.
Yeah.
Like we're very passionate about the purpose behind, what our money is going into. And so sometimes like we've had to spend like huge amounts of money, but what gives us that kind of like peace to go ahead and spend is because of the cost.
It feels like an investment more than,
because we feel like we're doing this for a greater good. So we would give. There've been moments and times where it's like we would have to give out of our comfort zones, and it's not because like we just have the stash of money like just lying there, but because we know that there's purpose behind it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I when you say that I'm meticulous about money, it's not even like just because of like there is the poverty aspect that I talked about, which is like in terms of like African upbringing, and it's like having that consciousness of how to spend your money. But there's also that side of it where I feel like I need to be a good steward of my money because God is going to require me to multiply it, and that multiplication doesn't happen automatically. Yeah. So there's even been times that when we do our money review, literally cancel out stuff, and we're like, okay, this is not serving a good use of our money.
Yeah.
So we need to take this out.
Yeah.
We need to like, we've I think we do it like 3 or 4 times a year. We actually do take stuff out of our money.
Yeah.
But there are things that we would never, ever, ever cancel out, because we know that, number one, God requires it of us, and we know that it's serving a good purpose. So we give to charities, and that was something we were never going to cancel out. No matter how insignificant the money looked, we knew that God wanted us to give our money, not just for us, but also to the poor, quote unquote. Do you know what I mean?
I think everyone just needs to learn how to be stewards of their money, stewards of their finances. God is gonna look back at you, even if you're a couple, if you're single. Look back at your finances and how you should spend it, how you should do things, and I pray that God will give you you will receive the wisdom to be able to manage things properly.
What would you say, or how would you advise people to spend? Not even like spend their money, because that's up to you and that's dependent on like your personal needs. But what would you say to a couple that's like they're having financial challenges? And coming from a man's perspective, okay, so the man is having financial challenges and he's not sure how to communicate that to his wife, or how to navigate being the provider of a home.
I think there's 2 aspects of it. I think there's 2 aspects, where it's number one, the spiritual aspect, which is prayer, which is the word of God, like having faith and believing that, God's got me.
God is your source.
That stress is not going to help anything. It just makes things worse. So that's one aspect of it, where you need to pray. You need to pray. You need to think about it. You need to think how. And the second one is actually doing something, putting your hands to the plow. If the job that you're in right now is not helping you, do something that will help you find another job. And I know it's not the easiest thing to say that I'm going to jump from one job to another, but it's very important for you to say that, look, let me think of a way so that we can have that conversation.
Provide for my family.
So do that and then have that conversation with your wife.
But then how does he bring himself to that level of openness with his partner? Because there's one thing where it's like the spiritual bit where you're not necessarily praying for money, but you're praying and asking God for wisdom on how to create like a money generating stream or income. So maybe ideas or power to create wealth or something like that. But how does he navigate that kind of openness with his spouse, especially if he's constantly been the provider, right? And they've never, I guess the question is, if people have not been open with their finances, where do they start from?
I think it's just understanding that you are both one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're both one. And sometimes if you don't have that conversation, it can make it worse on the long run. And you don't want to get to a stage where it's like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you call for help? I'm here to help you. The Bible says that help your husband. Like help me. I'm here to help you. I dislike it when, I'm sitting down and I'm hearing testimonies in church and they're like, oh, I was going through this and I'm out of it.
Why didn't you tell us?
I'm like, why didn't you mention it to me? I'm here to help you. Why did you go through it? Maybe I had the solution earlier. Maybe you didn't have to go through it that long. And I feel like if you have the understanding that the woman, the desire of a good woman, let me put it that way, a desire of a good woman is to support the husband. Even if she wants to take an extra job, even if it's, okay, cool, I know that this is temporary, but here's some money so you can invest it into this, or you can study this. A good woman will help you do that. So have that conversation, humble yourself, and understand that she's not there to judge you or hurt you or anything like that, but she's there to help you.
I think that the point that you raised on the oneness is like, it really struck something in me, because I think when it comes to like, especially, well, I'm not a man, but in the perspective that I see, it's like, you can be one with your wife when it comes to like emotionally and everything. Like, we feel like it's the sex bit that makes you one. But when you're one, really everything is one. And you're not on different teams. Like we say all the time, if you're winning with your money, I'm winning with money. if I'm winning with my money, you're winning as well. Like
Yeah.
we're both on the same team.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that mindset like that, you are actually one. I think that's really where the power struggle starts
Yeah.
from, because you feel like, oh, I need to prove that I can make more money, and he also needs to prove that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just having that mindset, like you're one, and we've had that all the time, where it's like we know that your money is my money, and my money is your money, and nothing is hidden. Well, except for the secret stash that I have, which you don't care for anyway. But it's just having that mindset of oneness. I think there's so much power in that, and you can both win, because even in this culture and in this climate, there's so much more you can do when your income is joined with your husband.
Yeah.
When a lot of people can do a lot financially when they're single, right? But when you become a couple, there's so much more that you can do with your money, So it's always having that mindset of oneness. You're both one. And if you're one, your money is one.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope this helps someone. I hope this, everything that we're doing helps people and moves you to a stage where you understand more about marriage. And I hope if there's any married couples that want to ask questions, be happy. Just send us a message, put in the comments, whatever it is, and we'll be happy to help you. We love you guys. We hope that we hear more and more from you. And very soon we'll be taking some questions from you as well. If there's anything we can answer questions, maybe we'll come live on Instagram or whichever one it is.
Yeah, we'll probably do a live session at some point so we can engage with 100%. You guys. That'll be cool.
All right.
But thank you guys for watching and listening, and share this podcast. Let it be a blessing to someone you know. And God bless you. Have a great week.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.